sat on them benches. I never talked to them boys that sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
What is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe? It's time to go to work. 99 episodes up to this point of this one particular, what I call a podcast. I mean, it's turned into a live stream, but it's a podcast to me. You're on episode 99 of the Hangover Podcast. And we're in Charlotte, my friends, my family. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina, as FSU continues to climb and as FSU attempts to reclaim the ACC crown that it hasn't had in quite a while. Disclaimer before we get started, this week has absolutely sucked for me. I've been sick as a one-eyed dog in a dog pound in the middle of Harlem. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff. I've been sick. Today's probably been the best I've felt all week. I'm talking about I was in the ER on Monday. So, yeah. If you remember on, I think, Sunday or Saturday? Sunday. You already could probably hear it in my voice. Yeah, it got worse from there. So, excuse the throat again. You might get a lot of me clearing my throat and all this stuff. Comes with the territory today. But before we get started, obviously we're previewing Louisville. The Louisville Cardinals stand in Florida State's way of not only an ACC championship, but a college football playoff berth. By the way, I'm not even going to entertain that conversation. So if you came here expecting me to entertain, if Florida State wins, they're in. Conversations over and done. Not even going to entertain it. We can entertain who's going to be in with Florida State, but Florida State's in. So before we get started with all of that, y'all already know, man, get in that chat. Let's hit this roll call and let's get this episode started, man. So y'all hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Share that video. Let everybody know you are live on the most interactive YouTube channel for the Florida State football fan. This is 863 Seminole TV. And this is your boy, POLK, a.k.a. the goddamn truth. James is in the building. You tell me how to pronounce it all the time. I always forget, so I'm just going to highlight you. What it do, POLK and fam. Peter Shields in the building. Jonathan McIntosh. Jeff is in the building. Insane Mob. Marco. Knowles 850. 904 Davis. Vontae B. Island Boy. Cool Breeze. Damian Adams. Kendrick Ross. Brandon Brazier. Priscilla Chestnut. All in the building here tonight. So again, y'all hit the like button, subscribe, and continue to share the video. So, excuse me, there you go. There you go. See, that bug, I don't know what it is, but it's going to rear its ugly head here every now and then. So, I'm just going to have to bear with me. Louisville Cardinal are up next, and I got to tell you, I have watched a few Louisville games. Interesting team. I think Braum is a good coach. I'm not gonna lie. I like him as a head football coach. However, I'm not sold on the Louisville Cardinal football team as a whole. They've lost 2 games on the year. One against Pitt, where they gave up 38 points to a not a very good Pitt team. And I understood that they had some injuries in that game offensively, and I think the quarterback turned the ball over like 3 times. And he had 2 interceptions in that game. But still, 38 points to Pitt. I mean, a 17-point third quarter. Interesting game there, I guess. Then, of course, they just let Kentucky, their arch nemesis, the arch rival, do what they want to do, and they also gave up 38 points. So it's 38 points, the magic number for beating the Cardinal. Maybe not. Those are the 2 games they lost. Here's the thing, man. It's an interesting game. I don't want to come out here and just tell you FSU is going to steamroll the Cardinal. Nor do I want to act like I am. I'm also not going to come on here and act like I am going to tell you that this is like I mean, it's the ACC Championship, right? So obviously you take the game for real. But I'm also not going to come here and tell you like I'm sitting here, I don't know, panicking or not even slightly worried. I mean, my attention is up. Maybe that's just because of the ACC Championship. I mean, but Louisville is a tough team to judge for me because they had the easy end of the schedule. They had the easy end of the schedule, man, in the ACC. Their toughest ACC opponent was let's see. Maybe Miami. A 7-5 Miami team looks like as I'm just looking at their schedule. A 7-5 Miami team. What did NC State finish? I could be mistaken. What did NC State finish? 9-3. So a 9-3 Wolfpack is the best ACC team they beat. A 9-3 Wolfpack team, who also, credit to the Wolfpack, man. They finished strong down the stretch. I mean, they finished with wins. I mean, they went on a win streak of Clemson and Miami back-to-back, and then they ended the season with Virginia Tech and North Carolina back-to-back and sprinkle a little bit of sorry-ass Wake Forest there in the middle. So I'll give credit to NC State as a solid ACC team, but like they dodged the big boys, or what we would perceive coming into the year as the big boys. Obviously, we didn't play them in the regular season. They didn't have to play Clemson in the regular season. No North Carolina. So those were the 3 big boys coming into the season, and they didn't have to play them. And then, if I'm not mistaken, they get Duke right after we had already. Did they get Duke after or before? Yeah, they got Duke right after we got Duke. After we broke Duke off 38-20, they finished all the scraps that was left and got a 23-point shutout. I mean, again, hard team for me to judge. But I do think they're a well-coached team. I do think they're a solid ball club. But I don't know. I think Kentucky kind of exposed some things that FSU can exploit. And even if you think Pitt was like just whatever thing there, Jack Plummer. I keep saying Jake, but Jack Plummer. I mean, he's a guy who's thrown 11. Not only has he thrown 11 interceptions on the season, he's been sacked 22 times. That's good news for the FSU. That's good news for the FSU fan. We should be able to get to him, and he should probably throw us a couple. He's completing 66% of his passes, 2,900 yards. So he'll reach the 3,000-yard mark in this game. The big worry that you have to worry about, man, if you're Florida State, is Jawar Jordan, the running game. Now, here's the thing about that. I don't know if he's been healthy since – it's been a minute since this guy's been healthy. I'm trying to look at his by game numbers here. He's a good running back, don't get me wrong. I can't find his here it is. Started off the season on fire, man. 96 yards against Georgia Tech, 135, 113, 134. Then he only had 32 against NC State, but then he goes for 143 against Notre Dame, 163 against Duke. Then I don't know around in what area he got hurt. He was hurt for that Pitt game because he only had 2 carries for 8 yards. And then he hasn't cracked 100 since the Duke game. And not only has he not cracked 100 yards since the Duke performance, he hasn't averaged over 5 yards a carry except for the Virginia game. And in the last 2 games against Miami and Kentucky, you're talking under 4 yards per carry. Good player, dynamic player. I don't think he's all the way healthy. And if FSU can limit him, I'll take my chances with Jack from State Farm all day. All day long. What's this? Yes, I got you. What are you guys thinking? Before we continue, now y'all know I got to get to y'all's. I haven't been looking at the comments, so I'll scroll up, see if I missed anything. Let's get to the comment section, see what y'all talking about before we continue to move forward. I got a $10 super chat from my man Jeff. He said 2 years ago, we all depressed because we just lost to Jacksonville State. Here we are 12-0 with a chance to win the conference and make the playoffs. Came a long way. The mission's not done. But you're right. We've came a long way. But we're not satisfied.
Jeff.
Insane says, oh, there we go. Insane says, we hear ACC Championship has been the goal since we beat Oklahoma. I agree with that. I mean, if you know anything about me, that was my take from the beginning of the season. The ACC Championship was the goal. Anything on top of that was just icing. We have a chance to put some icing on the cake with this win. Because I thought we would have at least one loss by this time. The fact that we're undefeated, ooh, buddy. Cody Shaw says, this offense can't leave the defense hanging. These slow starts have to stop. Offense needs to. I don't disagree, Cody. The problem is, and I say this I feel like I say this every week. And if you watch every week, I think that's the identity of this team. I think they're going to start slow. They're just going to do it. Or it's that second quarter. Even if they start a relatively decent first quarter, something about that second quarter, everything stalls. Everything. And you've seen it over and over. And when you talk about this Florida State team, something about that second quarter, I don't know if that's the quarter they take a nap in, but let's just do it. Let's just go game by game. LSU had a slow, really first 3 quarters, but 7 points in the second quarter, 7 points in the first quarter. We exploded in that fourth and blew that game wide open. I mean, Southern Miss, that's an anomaly, right? That game doesn't really count for much. Then you go to Boston College game. 3 points in the second quarter against Boston College. Something about them second quarters, okay? Let's continue. Clemson game. We actually had a good second quarter in the Clemson game. Terrible first quarter. 0 points in the first quarter, but we had a 14-point second quarter in the Clemson game. Virginia Tech, 22-point first quarter, not a point. 0 points in that second quarter. 0 points. Cuse. Pretty sustainable the whole, but 10-point quarter. But we won that game 41-3. You can't gauge much there. Duke. Like FSU, 10-point quarter. 0-point third quarter. But then FSU came out in that fourth quarter with 21 points. Wake Forest, man. Wake Forest was the one second quarter, man, where we blew up in that one. 24-point second quarter against Wake. But I think we're seeing a little bit of a trend. It's either the first or the second. Against Pitt, the first quarter, absolutely terrible. Not a point. Got a 10-point second quarter. So that, somewhere in that first quarter, I guess, obviously. I mean, Miami, only a 3-point second quarter. Like, they're going to struggle. I hate to say it, and I don't disagree with the comment. I don't expect them. I'd be surprised if we could come out swinging. We're like a counterpuncher, man. We don't swing until we get swung on. What's up, Chad? Jordan Travis did win ACC Player of the Year, so congratulations to him, or Offensive Player of the Year. Well deserved. Robert asked, so what happens for us if we win it? What do you mean? If we win it all? We national championships. I don't know what answer you're looking for here, Robert. But we on top of the college football world if we win it all. That's all I can tell you. Recruiting's already doing what it's doing, top 3 recruiting class. So, I mean, that will obviously continue. I think the expectations, continue. I mean, expectations are going to be there regardless. Status quo. If we win it all, we just going, hey, I don't know what to tell you. Just celebrate. That's what you can expect. Celebrations. So let's continue. I think I've caught up in all the comments. Let's go back. This is the player also that I haven't mentioned yet for Louisville. So let's talk about him. I talked about the quarterback. We've talked about the running back. Running back's a good player, but I think he's banged up. I think Thrash is banged up too, but he is the other Louisville dynamic weapon that you kind of have to watch for. He's got 56 receptions on the year for 801 yards and 6 touchdowns. But he's had some big games. Here we go. He had 159 yards against who is that? Is that Idaho? Yes. Indiana. Sorry. Who is that? It's Indiana. 159 yards, 120 against Pitt. But this is another guy who ever since that Pitt performance, like it's actually crazy if you look at like the Pitt game, because I think they had like the statistical advantages in the Pitt game, and they ended up losing that game. Ever since that Pitt game, 73 yards against Duke, no touchdowns. 22 yards against Virginia, no touchdowns. 1 catch against Miami. 6 catches against Kentucky, no touchdowns. 60, 70, 22, 73. Those are his. So, again, good player, but you can't tell me Florida State can't contest. And what do we know about the secondary? Well, the secondary has been locked in all year. If there's one coach that deserves a damn raise, yeah, y'all already know. Without me saying his name, you already know who I'm talking about. So, Jamari Thrash, a threat, yes. 6'1", 185, speedster. But I don't think he's anything that FSU hasn't seen already this year. I mean, again, FSU, those LSU wide receivers, by far the best group Florida State's seen. Hell, what about Jacoby George over there at Miami? And I know he had a big game. Statistically, again, we already know Kevin Knowles doesn't have the, I don't know, worst play of all time at the safety spot. That doesn't happen. But my point is, we've seen receivers like a Jamari Thrash. I don't think he presents anything Florida State hasn't seen. He's not like he's a big receiver or anything like that. So we'll see. I think defensively is not my worry. I think is for me from a Florida State standpoint, how does FSU come out offensively? I think that is the key to Florida State having early success. If we have early success in the ACC championship game. Let's look at some defensive players maybe that we should pay a little bit to for Louisville. I think they have a decent tight end. Let me check their offensive numbers. So you got Thrash leads the team with 800 yards, and then the next leading receiver has 381. Kevin Coleman, you guys probably remember that name, a guy by the name of Kevin Coleman. I think he also returns punts and stuff for them. He's a solid player, but 321 yards on the year. They kind of Joey Gatewood. You guys might know that name. That name's been in college football forever. Joey Gatewood. He's a former quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. What school did Joey transfer from? I forget. But he's been in college since 2018, if you don't remember Joey Gatewood. I forget. And he's from Jacksonville, so a lot of my Florida people might also know him. But yeah, Auburn. He was supposed to be the quarterback at Auburn. Then he transferred to Kentucky. The guys played for Auburn, Kentucky, Central Florida, and now Louisville. He's a tight end. I mean, he's a big body. He's 6'4", 245, but the man has 9 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think NFL scouts like him for his size. He does have some athleticism. I'm not saying he can't emerge as a threat. I don't know why it's taken Louisville 12 games maybe to realize what they had there in Joey Gatewood. I'd be shocked if Gatewood killed us. I think he might have killed Miami. I know Miami let one of these tight ends. I don't know if it was Gatewood or this other one, Nate Kursky. But Miami was letting one of them, or it might have been letting both of them tight ends kill them in their game. But that's Miami. We're not Miami. So those are some other receiving options that we might need to worry about. Again, I'm not worried too much, man. I'm really not worried a lot about this Louisville offense. Louisville statistically has had one of the better defensive teams in college football. I think Kentucky kind of exposed a little bit there. But before we get to the defense, let's get back to the comments and see what we got going on. You know what, Marco? I'm not going to leave you out. I want to see what you're talking about here. I know you're the resident Louisville fan, so you stand in your circle, man. You go hard for Louisville. Just understand where you at, because nobody's going to pull any punches. But he said you haven't been hitting your mouths all season. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. FSU's been in plenty of tough games, man. So I wouldn't say all that. Definitely wouldn't say that. But I agree with this comment here. Whatever Louisville's going to do, again, if we're talking about the trends and knowing our football team, whatever Louisville's going to do, they better do it in the first half. So whatever lead you're going to try to build, better build it substantially in the first half. Because in the second half, they're going to lock all the rest of that down. William says he thinks Glenn may be the hero in this game. Nah. I'll just leave it at that. What's up, Zay? No, we ain't talking to any of y'all Miami. Good job. You got to recruit. That's one thing your coach can do, man. He can recruit. It's a good thing. I'm gonna steal a comment I saw on Twitter. Mario can shop, but it's a damn good thing he can't cook. So you can have all the best ingredients in the world. Mario can't cook them. So we good over here. But congratulations to Miami. They got a big time flip today. Got a big time flip. I hear you. Nate was eating on the Canes. Okay. Yes, they do. Oh, Glenn gonna run it. I'll tell you that right now. Glenn's gonna run that thing. I like Tate. Again, that's all about the game plan, right? And we'll talk about that when we get to Florida State side of what the things I want to see from us. But I'm okay with Tate as of right now, man. I haven't seen enough, for me to re-ready to throw Tate away yet. Believe it or not. William with the $2, man. Appreciate you, William. He says, "Oh no, you sent one of them little stickers. On this app, they don't actually show a sticker, but it is a pair character doing a shaka sign. So doing this sign." I love when this guy comments, man. Y'all give it up for my man, Christopher Lee Miller. Every time he comments, I freaking love it because he announces his full government name. Give it up for the Christopher Lee Miller. And he says, I hope we get Smith, the wide receiver from Ohio State, to flip to Florida State. I will talk about recruiting at another time. I think I've given my opinion on that. We'll see what happens. But if you know me, you know I'm not expecting that one, even though the FSU media may tell you different. Briley says, how much you going to win by? Yeah, I think at this point, I'm pretty sure he's using someone else's account. I just love that he announces the way he announces everything. That this is Christopher Lee Miller. Like, I got it. I love it. Every time he comments, I love it. Let's get to this Louisville defense, man. I think because they got some solid players, man. I think they got some solid guys because they got a guy on that defensive line, man, that's got 11 sacks. FSU, and y'all already know how, and he's a Florida kid, number 9 out of Boca Raton, Ashton. How do you pronounce that? Galati? Might be Galati. He's got 11 sacks on the year. And I got to tell you, we better be able to block them. Now, I thought for the most part, man, I thought FSU's O-line actually blocked decently against Florida. Florida really didn't have much success unless they were blitzing. Now, Tate, and that comes with more time and experience, he's got to do a better job of recognizing the blitz and all those things. But anytime you got a double-digit sack guy on a defense, FSU's going to need to pay attention to that young man. That's 6'3", 270 pounds. If I'm Louisville, I'm putting him on buyers, and I'm expecting the best, if I'm being honest with you. If I'm Louisville, I'm putting him on buyers and expecting the best. So they do have an 11-sack guy. They also have a 5-sack guy, Mason Riger. So they get to the quarterback. Louisville's got 30 sacks on the year. So they get to the QB, man. They get to the QB. FSU better come ready to block. Their leading tackler is TJ Quinn with 75 total tackles, half a sack. He's their leading guy. Their best DB. Who's the best DB? Well, the leading interception guy is Devin Neal. I'm guessing this is the guy that they're going to put on Keon, number What's his number? Number 27. Marco, let me know. You the Louisville fan here, Marco. Stop talking foolishness and let us know in the chat. Is Devin DB? Is that the guy that's good? I mean, he leads the team in interceptions. I'm asking you. Or is it Cameron Kelly? Is he your best DB? Cameron Kelly is 6'2", 210. That's probably more of a safety build, just from glancing at it. Who's the guy you're going to put on Keon and Johnny? Because I know one thing. I know damn well. If I see this guy, matter of fact, I'm going to let y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm going to share the screen so y'all can see exactly who I'm talking about. Because if I see this guy on Keon or Johnny, we eating lovely come Saturday night. So it better be one of them other two DBs. Because if I see this guy, and I'm going to share it to you, I ain't going to say his name. Some of y'all probably already know who I'm talking about. Most of y'all know who I'm talking about. Nope, not that one. I'm trying to share my screen. I'm trying to remember how to do it. Not that one. I don't want to share. Yeah, just got to add a source, right? No, there we go. Share screen. Duh. Okay. If I see this guy, on Keon Coleman or Johnny Wilson, I already know what the deal is. I already know what's about to happen. Please match him up on number 4. Number 4 going to have a career day. I promise you. I'm talking 200. Number 4 going to look like Peter Ward if you dare put this guy on him. And we already saw what Johnny Wilson did to him last year. Matter of fact, if y'all don't remember what Johnny Wilson did to him last year, thanks to my good man, Jeff, we actually have a little clip that shows what Johnny Wilson did to that man last year. Let's go to the footage.
Jeff.
So, Mark, I need you to tell me who's the DB that I should be worried about in covering my 2 dynamic receivers. Just curious. And do your linebackers cover well? Is the chance that Jaheim Bell can get loose? I'm interested to see can Florida State do a little bit with Morlock more. I thought we would use Morlock more against Florida. For whatever reason, we didn't, but that's okay. We ended up getting a win because Trey Benson ended up doing this thing. So with all that's a good transition to our offense. But there we go, Marco. What you talking about? He says Quincy Riley on Coleman, Storm Duck, Cameron Kelly, and Bradley double team. So y'all gonna put 3 guys on one person? Dang. Crazy. Storm Duck. Let me check out Storm Duck. That's a hell of a name. I feel like that guy should be playing for Oregon. Storm Duck, 6'1", DB out of North Carolina, senior. Okay. Let's see how Storm Duck does if you want to actually match him. Well, you said you're going to triple team. Triple teaming one guy is wild. But at least, I guess after last year, y'all figure, hey, we got to do what we got to do. So shout out to y'all. I guess y'all got to do what y'all got to do. Triple teaming. Now, you think Cameron Kelly's good enough to put on Keon one-on-one? Fair enough. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, that's going to transition us to FSU. And why is my phone just over here going bonkers? That's because they're all talking about a bunch of nothing. Before we go to Florida State, let's hit the comments because that's what we do. And y'all continue to hit the like button and share the video, guys. I appreciate everybody who's in on this Wednesday night. You are on episode 99 of The Hangover, man. And it is 863 Simo TV. Again, I'm sorry for my voice. I'm sorry that I'm drinking like every... And I've tried it all, man. I've hot tea with lemon and ginger and whatever I got. All COVID tests came back negative. Flu came. I don't know what I got, but whatever it is, it's been a killer. So we're on the other side of it. We're getting better. And again, I've tried all the at home, your mama's favorite recipe. So anyway. What's the best offense Louisville has played? That's a great question. Notre Dame? Probably. Will Bless be available for the game? According to Alex Atkins, Bless and Robert Scott were available for last week's game. They just decided not to use them. Now, that's always a part of coach talk, right? They never really give anything. If you ask any coach, should I say, if you ask any Florida State coach, they'll tell you that everybody's 100% healthy every week when we know better. So take from that what you will. Atkins said Bless was available last week. So if that is true, I don't see why he wouldn't be available this week. Well, yeah, Kendrick, if you're going to triple team one guy, then you're going to be leaving Ja'Kai Douglas open. We got guys. We got guys, obviously. Will JT be at the game? I don't know. I know he had a successful surgery. He put that on social media, and obviously he was at the Florida game. I don't know if he'll be at this one. Again, I just to continue that, like I've talked about it. Like I think the expectation should not be for 52. Like at this point of the year, I would almost argue you keep him out, and maybe with the extra, how many? Isn't it like an extra? Like 15 practices in bowl season, and especially if you can get to the playoff, like maybe then you see Robert Scott or Bless Harris. Like at this point, it's almost. I mean, if you didn't see, Darius Washington made first team All ACC as a rotational player, which is wild. I mean, the guy played center. He does every year. He does it. He plays every position on the O line for you wherever you need him. The guy made first team All ACC. I was astounded by that, but it's well deserved. And if you go check the grades, if you go check the PFF grades, they actually match. As a matter of fact, I have those. Let me find those. And I could, I actually probably, I might be able to share them with you all if I can find them. I probably got to scroll too far down to find them. I'm not even going to lie to you. So I'm not going to waste y'all's time. But Darius's PFF grades, man, they matched that first team All ACC selection, which I thought that was crazy when I originally saw it. So I would argue that we're better off having Darius out there. I just with 63 would step his damn game up. But again, at this point, we know what we got, and that's what we taking. We know who we got, and that's who we taking to the damn dance. So that's what we got. Watch this. Shout out to freshman defensive player of the year, Bain. He's the leader of the. Hey, shout out to Bain. Bain won the Patrick Payton Award, so I appreciate. Bain's a good player. He's only doing what the big dogs have already done. So Bain won the Patrick Payton Award in this year. So shout out to Ruben Bain, man. That's a good player. That's a good player. Following in the footsteps of Big Brother. Shout out to Ruben Bain. All right. Obviously, Florida State brings Tate Rodemaker to the dance. Again, we bring into the dance who we got. Tate Rodemaker's stats on the year is 510 yards with a 57% completion percentage. Averages 9 yards a pass, long of 49, 5 touchdowns, no picks. As long as he keeps that a goose egg in that interception column, and he doesn't turn the ball over. I think FSU is sitting pretty, man. I really do. As long as we're not turning the ball over, I like our chances in every game. We'll stay here at Rodemaker here for a little bit. I want to see them allow him to push the ball down the field a little earlier than they did last game. If they can do that, I don't know. I'll be honest with you because I've watched Louisville games, but I'm not gonna say that I've paid like major attention. I don't know what defense Louisville primarily plays. I don't know if they're a zone team, a man-to-man team. I don't know. Especially if they are going to just line up like Marco suggests and cover Keon one-on-one with whoever that was, Storm Nixon or Duck Sauce or whoever that guy was he named. If they're going to do that, you got to let Tate take his shots. Not only that, the attention to Marco's point is going to be on Johnny and Keon. Jakai should have plenty of opportunities underneath in one-on-one situations. Jaheim Bell, Morlock. This might be a game where your tight ends and your slot guys can eat. I don't know what the status is on Dustin Hill, and he's another guy who's been injured and we haven't seen much of lately. But these guys underneath might be able to eat heavy if all the attention is on the other two receivers on the outside. So I don't want us to because I firmly believe if you're gonna coach a kid scared, you're better off not playing. And I'm gonna take a shot at another rival. I think that's what the Florida Gators was their issue with Anthony Richardson last year. Everybody knew the type of player that Anthony Richardson was. And Billy Napier, because he was scared, because in his eyes, the reasoning he gave was, well, if he gets hurt, I don't have another quarterback. Well, you're not playing to his strength, and therefore you went 6-6 and then lost the bowl game and had a losing season. If you're not going to coach to a player's strength, you're better off not playing him. We already have figured out here, let Tate Rodemaker go vertical. That's to his strength. That's what I want to see them do early. We don't need the screen game. Let's use the slant game. Let's lose slants. Let's lose the in routes. Anything like that. Drag routes. I love those. I love me a good drag route. Hell, even let's do and get some pick plays. Like, let's do some stuff to free some stuff. If you want to get Tate in that rhythm, we can still go vertical, but we can do it underneath the coverage, which will bring everybody in tight, and then you can hit Keon and them boys over the top. So I want and hope and expect them to let Rodemaker air it out early. Also, you can expect another big dose of Trey Benson because with Tate Rodemaker, he's going to need a solid run game because the play action becomes critical to the game if Trey Benson can run the ball. So that's going to happen. Speaking of Trey Benson, as we know, 838 yards on the year, 14 touchdowns, 6 yards a carry. Again, sorry about my voice, guys. 12 Phillies going for 345 on the year, right under 6 a carry at 5.8 and 3 touchdowns. I think 12 Philly has been a decent change. He hasn't been Trayshawn Ward, but he has been at times a decent change of pace guy. That running back room is going to be very interesting to watch this offseason. I'm telling you, there might be a couple guys, and we'll do a separate episode when it comes to portal talk. There might be some guys leave out that running back room that we think we don't want to lose just because fan favorites and we get attached to guys. But Toe Philly's been a pretty good guy to have back there. I might even expect something that we didn't see from Toe Philly against the Florida game. Expect maybe them to use him more so, especially if you want to get Tate Rodemaker throwing the ball. We haven't seen that. I feel like we haven't seen the wheel route out the backfield in a few games from Toe Philly. This might be the game you want to open that up, see if you can get him on a good matchup on a back or out the backfield. I think this might be the game to watch out for that. Speaking of Toll-Field. And then, of course, we know who the big guns are in that receiving core. Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman with 639 yards, but he's got 11 touchdowns. Johnny, 596 yards. Only two. Jaheim Bell has 503 yards. He's third on the team in receptions. I think you could have a good game from Jaheim. He threw that seam route to Jaheim extremely well last week against Florida. Obviously, these are high school teammates. Probably still got some of that chemistry. Maybe also expect a decent dose. We talked about Morlock and some of these other guys. Again, you're going to pay attention to Johnny, who killed y'all last year, so I understand it. Keon Coleman would be foolish not to game plan for number 4. Jaheim Bell has a very good chance to eat this game. So pay attention to Jaheim. And then Ja'Kai Douglas, who didn't play for like the first 3 or 4 games of the year, something like that. I mean, he's come on strong. He's averaging 19 yards a catch. He's got a long 62. I've always been a fan of Ja'Kai. If you watch me, you know I've always rooted for – not only have I rooted for Ja'Kai, I have pumped my fist for Ja'Kai. And I'm glad that he's healthy and has had his opportunities to be successful. So that's the Florida State offense. Let's move on to the defense. But first, let's hit the comments. Can we please start passing on first down since we always seem to get negative plays with the runs on first down? Got to get out the negative yards, start the drive. What's good? Corey says they play a bear front with zone match. They suspect through the air, though. Tate just need to get quicker with the reads and not hold the ball too long. That's fair. That also comes with experience and time. But that's fair. Brownlee plays more nickel for them this year. Good. Ja'Kai Douglas can eat them up. Briley's going to take a shot at Marco here. I'm all for it. All icing from here. If you play to our potential, it won't be close. If we don't, then we'll be in a dogfight. With our banged-up squad missing our elite QB, nothing to lose and everything to gain. Most of our guys are pissed because FSU didn't recruit them. They better get over that. Better get over that. That's because they're inferior. I wish Hakeem was healthy. We better hang on to the ball. Bad weather. Is the weather supposed to be bad? I mean, I haven't checked the weather. So if it is bad weather, yeah, they got to hang on to the ball. Hey, he always has. He always has. I agree. I think, again, I don't know. I feel like this isn't a popular opinion or a popular take. But if this was Brock Glenn, I'd have different feelings. But you kept Tate Rodemaker on this roster for 4 years. Now I'm speaking to the coaching staff. You kept him on the roster for 4 years for this situation. So you can have a veteran quarterback in case your guy went down. Don't bring him in there and put the training wheels on him. If that's the case, let's play the freshman. If we're going to go in there and we're going to play conservative and you want to keep the training wheels on, then that tells me Rodemaker shouldn't be in the game. And Glenn can do whatever Rodemaker's being asked to do. Let Rodemaker do what he is supposed to do. Gifted to do. Whatever his strengths are, let him play to that. That's my take. That's how I feel about a redshirt junior quarterback. Most teams wish they had a redshirt junior quarterback on the roster that they can fall back on. In fact, fall back on. Especially in 2023, in today's college football landscape, that is an anomaly. Look at Miami. Miami might not have a damn scholarship quarterback to play the bowl game. TVD's hit the transfer portal, if you haven't heard. And Everett Williams, has a broken arm. And they're still up in the air about whatever Ja'Cory Brown's going to do or be. But when TVD went down, they had a freshman and a sophomore who they were trying to redshirt because they rushed to play him last year. To my point, they would have loved for Jake Garcia to stay another year because they would have been that buffer that you wouldn't have to get Emory Williams out there too early, right? Most teams wish they had that. We have that. Let him play to his strengths. And if his strength is a big arm, big quarterback, which he is a 6'4", he's not big, but he's 6'4", long, and he's got an arm, let him use it. So I agree with that comment wholeheartedly. As you can see, passionately, I agree with that comment. Steady drizzle in the 50s. Okay. It'll be cold and rainy. You might as well get over the refs. They are going to make bad calls. At this point, the refs are going to make bad calls. I know we all talk about recruiting later, but do you think Kamari Wilson transfer from UF is a take? No. Look at our DB class. We don't need Kamari Wilson. He should have came initially. We got KJ Bolden, probably about to get Bates here shortly. But then probably by the end of the week, Bates going to commit. You got Ricky Knight, Charles Lester. Somebody can play safety. We are fine. We are fine. 850. We good. We good. We good. Let's get to our defense, man. Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach both have lead the team with 63 tackles, but Kalen DeLoach brings that 7 sacks. I'm going to spend some time to give Forrest flowers because if you guys remember at the beginning of the season, I kind of called DeLoach having like an all ACC year. I thought this was the year that he was going to be that guy. And I'm glad to see that he was everything and is everything that we wanted and expected. So I got to give DeLoach's flowers. This is one that I called preseason. So I'm happy to see Kalen DeLoach. And he's going to be important in this game like he's important in every game. Blitzing and all the things that we ask and need him to do. So him and Tatum Bethune have been a great 1-2 combination. They complement each other very well. And the man, hey, he's one of the reasons why the defense, I think, has been as good and as potent in the second half as it's been. People try to tell you that the linebacker position's dead. I think that's just an excuse people make to say that to excuse Randy Shanning's piss poor linebacker recruiting up until this point. Though, if you look at the 25 class, that water's loud, man. That mic picks up the water. But if you look at Randy Shanning's 25 class, he is recruiting some damn good linebackers in that class. But my point stands. Linebacker position isn't dead. And shout out to Kalen DeLoach. Shaheem Brown. It's another one. I don't know who we put on Thrash. Excuse me. My guess is we put Ronaldo Green on Thrash and see how that plays out. And Cypress will get some plenty of rotation in there as well. Can they block for a team that has given up 22 sacks on their starting quarterback? In comparison, FSU had only given up 14 sacks for Jordan Travis. Now, they did give up 5 sacks to Tate Rodemaker. So, I actually didn't look at the totals from but I think it was total 22 sacks they had given up, I think. I actually didn't look at the totals. But here, can Jarrett Verse can he have that performance that he had last week? That is almost the key, right? Jarrett Verse showed up at the absolutely right time, and that's where this defense, I think, is going to really could carry us into the playoff. Jarrett Verse, I said it again, he had a Jermaine Johnson-like performance last week. Can he double down on that one? He's got 7 sacks so far this year, 7 sacks through the regular season. Can Jarrett Verse have a repeat performance? Can Patrick Payton have a repeat performance? Can Braden Fisk? All 3 of those names right there were huge. And then Joshua Farmer has 5 sacks on the season. Like all 4 of those guys, man. Fabian Lovett was eaten last week. If that front 4, if that defensive front can do exactly what it did last week, I don't know how good or bad that Louisville O-line is. Marco, you can answer that question for me. How good is y'all's O-line? Because if it's not, if they're suspect, again, you know Plummer's going to turn the ball. He's going to turn the ball over to you. If we can harass him all night, I like what we can do. I like what we can do. That front 4 was dominated that Florida offensive line. So much so, if you haven't been paying attention, everybody's transferring out of Florida right now. That quarterback we just played last week, he's not even a Gator anymore, Max Brown. He said, the hell with that. I'm not facing that crap anymore. Freshman dip. Everybody's leaving the Gators. They don't want no parts of Florida State in the near future. I get it. I get it. Go somewhere that you can be successful because Billy is just going to lead you to the abyss. So I wholeheartedly get it, Gator players. Go be successful elsewhere. If Verse, Deloach, Fisk, Dent, and Patton play the way they did last week, Plummer may not survive. Hey, that's what I'm saying. Please tell me that. I don't think anybody correct me. I don't think Knowles got any burn last week. Put AZ on Thrash. I'm not mad at that at all. Florida didn't respect Verse at all. No tight end. Yeah, they just put 76 on him, and he ate 76 up. Man, Fisk doesn't get enough love. He gets enough love from me. That's all I'll say. I've been on the Fisk train from the beginning. Our O-line is excellent at run block, but pure garbage at pass block. You hear that, boys? We eating. Saturday night. What did Leonidas say? We dine in hell. Now, I don't know if that's the right terminology for Saturday night, but you get what I'm trying to say. I don't think our O-line likes him. Well, there you go. I think the Fire Fuller remarks have absolutely been – I don't know if anybody's still calling for that at all. Those who were calling for it. Fuller, every year – What did I say at the beginning of the year when we talked about Alan Fuller? I said I can no longer talk bad about a coach that has improved the defense substantially every year. And here we are again. Dent played his best game as a Seminole. Period. Not his best game of the year. Dent played his best game while he's been wearing garnet and gold, bar none. Defense about to get like never before. Probably. Probably. So we've done the tail of the tape between the two teams. Now it's time for me to give my players of the game and my score prediction. Then we got a little bit of time. We can talk about some of those questions y'all were asking. Players of the game, offense and defense. Go ahead and start putting your players of the game in the chat. I'm thinking this over for myself. I'm going to start with offense. And for me, it's hard for me to bet again. I want to say our receivers can go crazy in this game. Like, I want to say, like, number 4 is just the same way Johnny killed him last year. And he could repeat that. I feel like I want to say one of my receivers is just going to make Tate Rodemaker look like the next John Elway. That's what I want to say. But I'm going to lean on Trey Benson again. We're going to get another 20. I think at this point, you got 19 carries out of Trey last week. I think you're going to get that. I think you're going to get 20 plus of Trey Benson this week. I do. I think they're going to lean on Trey Benson again. And I'm thinking if you told me he got another hat trick, I wouldn't be shocked. He's going to have, I think, at least 2 touchdowns and go for at least another 90. Maybe if they do running back committee, he doesn't quite hit 100. But they're going to get a heavy dose of, I think, Trey Benson. Just because they're going to continue to want to have that running game with Tate Rodemaker. That's what I'm thinking. And then if the weather's as bad, right, if people say, I think Benson is going to get a ton of carries, I'm going with Trey Benson on offense. And defense, I can't bet against Jared Verse. I'm expecting back-to-back platinum albums from Jared Verse on Saturday. This is what you came back for. Jared Verse, you want to prove that you're a top 10 draft pick? And you showed something against Florida. We were kind of complaining all through the year. You were just a little quiet, right? Not what we expected. But I'm going Verse going back-to-back platinum albums. And Saturday, I'm thinking, that's the encore right there. I think that's the encore. They're going to leave Benson for those are my 2 guys for my player of the game predictions. And then let's go ahead and did I freeze? No, I think I froze for a little bit. But anyway, score prediction, man. Now, the score prediction is a little tough. Because, again, I'm not worried about Louisville, but I'm also not sleeping on them either. Because I think well-coached teams, man, I think Louisville is a well-coached team. If we can get the pressure that I think we can get, we can make the game ugly. If Louisville's able to block us somewhat decently, then the game becomes interesting. I see some good ones. 31-21, I kind of like that one. I like 32-17 score prediction. You guys are kind of in the ballpark with me with some of those score predictions because I'm thinking something very similar. Like last week, I was thinking, I thought we could put 30 up on Florida, and I still think we could have done that. They just were very conservative to start the game off. 24-17, I'm not necessarily mad at that. It's a little closer than I might want, but I also get a rainy game, offense, maybe, whatever. 28-24, 35-24. Do we think Louisville's offense is going to score? I mean, Florida State doesn't give up a lot of points, guys. You do realize, like, some of these score predictions, and I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I just want to point some stuff out. Like, only one offense has scored over 25 points on Florida State. Do y'all know who that offense was? So I'm not so sure. And I'm struggling with this score myself. I like some of these, I actually like here, Brandon had a good one. If I can find it, I think I saw it. I kind of like this one too if you want to pick a statement game, 38-14. I think Louisville's going to score 20 points. I'm just going to go with an even 20 for Louisville. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with an even 20. And I think Florida State's going to score 31. I'm going 31-20. Florida State will win by double digits, 11 points. 31-20. That's what I'm going to go with. I think we're going to more than cover the spread. And I think your boy Jack from State Farm is going to deliver some key insurance for us in the form of a couple interceptions. You might even be able to, again, if Verse can do his thing, a strip fumble. If it's rainy like that, definitely look for the strip sack, all that stuff. I think we can cause a few turnovers there, which will help the offense out. And I think we can make, I think a 31-20 type performance is definitely within the realm of possibility. That's what I got. 31-20. And I got Trey Benson and Jarrett Verse, last week's two players, even though Tate Rodemaker helped break the rock, which I understand and I get that. But last week's two best players are going to be this week's two best players, I think. And I got a 31-20 game. Corey says LSU could only score 24, and y'all think Louisville go score 20. I score 30. Yeah, I would be disappointed if Louisville could put up 30 on us. I'm not even going to lie to you. If Louisville can throw up 30, I will be disappointed in that performance. I mean, I get it. Louisville put up 30 on Miami, but, I don't think Miami's defense is overrated. I think their front is good, but I even said it the week of we played them. I thought their secondary was food. So, and Louisville did the smart thing, and they targeted the tight end, and Miami had no answer for it. Well, I think Louisville definitely has a better offense than Florida. And you also have to remember Florida was gifted. Also remember, Florida was gifted 7 points. I mean, Florida only scored 15, and they were gifted 7 on one of the worst penalties you'll ever see in the history of the sport. So we already know you take that 7 off the board. What does Florida have? It was 15 minus 7. I don't know. I ain't the best at math. 8. That's what Florida has. 8. So I definitely think Louisville has a better offense than Florida. Florida had 2 field goals and a safety. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Right. And Plummer can't, he's not a runner, so I'm just not worried, y'all. I'm just not worried. And then Briley says, I want to put this naysaying to bed. I want the haters to live in their misery as we waltz into the college football playoff. I just want there to be no room for debate. I don't think there is any room for debate as long as we win. I don't care if we win off a late second field goal. If we win, we're in. You can stop the conversations. I don't think I've ever heard this be talked about. Maybe with like the Cincinnatis of the world. When you talk about group of 5 undefeated teams, you've heard the narrative of, does a group of 5 team deserve, and I even said at the beginning of this, I wasn't going to talk about this. But we've covered the game. We've made our picks. We can talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's going on in college football. We've heard when it's the group of 5 teams, do we allow those teams in because is a undefeated Cincinnati better than like a 1-loss Bama or something? Just for example, even though I know those two played in the playoff, right? An undefeated Florida State team is not in that same conversation, not in that same category. A Florida State team that scheduled LSU as at a conference game. A Florida State that is I think 9-2 against the spread all year. What are we really talking about? And I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you after this drink what's really going on, and I blame you guys. That's right, I blame you guys, and I'll tell you why here in a second. This is why I blame y'all. And I've talked about this before on this channel, so this actually shouldn't be a shocker to anybody. FSU fans run to the bullshit. Y'all run. And look, I'm guilty of it too, because on Twitter, but I do it out of fun, and I think there's a lot of y'all that, I don't know if y'all taking it to heart or what we're doing here. So like when RJ Young talks about Florida State, I run to his Twitter feed because I just like to cuss. I like to see if I can get blocked. I'll be completely honest with you. I like to see if I can get blocked. But Florida State fans, we love to run to the negativity. These people are not dumb. They have analytics just like any YouTuber. I can go to my analytics right now and I can tell you who watches me. I can tell you what age category watches me and all that stuff. They have that same information. And they know Florida State has one of the biggest internet what am I trying to say? They have one of the biggest what am I trying to say here? The words are leaving me. But FSU is one of the biggest fans on the internet. Probably Miami's probably number one. And they can't talk crap about Miami because Miami sucks. Whatever. It's not going to drive up the views. But Florida State's actually good. So how do we get all the interaction? How do we get all the engagement? Well, let's just talk about how terrible Florida State is, that they don't belong. Oh, that's going to drive interactions through the roof. That's all they do. And we fall for it every single time. These people they just want the engagement, man. And I'm not mad at y'all. If that's something that y'all, again, I have fun with it at times too. I think some of us take it too personal, and we get on here and we're like, ESPN hates Florida State. It's easy to say that. Yes, who's putting Florida State on all these primetime matchups? ESPN. ESPN knows where their money is. They don't hate Florida State, but they do know how to exploit a brand to make money. So they put Florida State on TV to make money, and then they also know, okay, I can get y'all to give me even more interaction. I get Paul Feinbaum to go on TV and say something stupid. Like, these people aren't dumb is all I'm getting at is these people aren't dumb. They know what they're doing, and we kind of fall for it as fans. And we put out narratives that the ESPN is against Florida State. It's not as white and black as that. Like, it's all a money game. It's all a money game. So that's why they do what they do, guys. Don't take it to heart. We all know FSU wins. They're in, regardless of what Kurt Herbstreit has to say. Regardless of whoever has to say what, Florida State wins, and they're in. And now I'll say one last thing. The comparison that Florida State is to TCU, that is not an insult that people keep trying to make that out to be. TCU won a playoff game and played for a national championship last year. Now, do I want to go to the Natty and get my doors blown off? Absolutely not. But if FSU was to win a playoff game and make it to the national championship, that is not some type of this insult that I keep seeing people throw out there. Florida State's this year's TCU. They won a playoff game. They beat Michigan. If Florida State is this year's TCU, what the hell was Michigan last year? The same Michigan this year? That is one of the most idiotic takes I keep hearing, is that Florida State is this year's TCU. TCU won a playoff game. Now, they didn't show up in the national championship. They won a playoff game. If you ask any Florida State fan in this chat right now, do you want to win a playoff game? Yeah, absolutely. Like, so keep saying that Florida State's this year's TCU. That is not an insult. I'm sorry. And with all that said, we've hit the nail. We are right on time on this live stream. So on this episode, this podcast, we are hitting right on time. So I love it. So we're gonna close out. We're gonna close out here. And by the way, I am gonna try to get on. And Marco knows my man Made in the Ville. Oh, Marquise Maben. I'm gonna try to get on there and do some Louisville, Florida State talk before the end of the week. So more stuff coming as we get ready for the ACC Championship in Charlotte. And with all that said, guys, let's close this out here with a few more comments, and then we're gonna close this out. My internet is bad. It might be. I do look blurry. I see I'm blurry on here. Am I? Yeah, I am blurry. Definitely blurry. It might be the app. Might be the Restream app. We're gonna go ahead and get it up out of here now. Let's go ahead and get up out of here, man. But I appreciate y'all. Hit the like button on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Like, subscribe if you're new. Share the videos. It's your boy POLK over on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. Charlotte, here we come. Louisville, get ready. We're going to skin. I never ate cardinal. I don't even know if you can eat a cardinal. But we about to skin a bird and eat it like it's Thanksgiving all over again. And we out here, y'all. Go Noles.